G'day, HMR here, with another comment response, and another comment brought to us by the commenter on the cluster F of cluster B, the quote genius unquote that thought they had the whole answer for the ascension between BPD to NPD to ASPD, which doesn't mean anything. They thought it was all about self-concept and degrees of or whatever, when there's no self-concept in cluster Bs. So this comment was left on the video that I did. Pardon me. Got a throat that's never going to get to be the way it was prior to a medical procedure. They left the comment on confronting BPD behavior hurts more than helps, which was a short. Person says another aspect. So, they laid out all their details of how they thought they had the most amazing theory of how to understand cluster Bs with their self-concept differences. And of course, that was, in no way relevant, correct, or accurate. So here they go again. Another, I think it's the same person. I could be wrong, but I don't know. Another aspect is almost never discussed is that most, if not all, engagement with a borderline or a narcissist. Well, again, why are we going to talk about a borderline or a narcissist all day long when, seriously, they're not the same? And there is some comorbidity, but it isn't the way most people think it is. Like dualistic diagnoses? No. Okay. Yeah, if not all, so this isn't talked about enough, this person says. Well, you wonder where they travel, don't you? What they listen to and whatever. How'd they land here? If not all engagement with a you have to know this, right? That all engagement with a borderline, I'm skipping the narcissist part, actually reinforces their thinking and behavior, and in capital letters, which I do not like, enables them. So, no, I don't believe that any engagement with a person with BPD necessarily reinforces their thinking. Does it reinforce their behavior? Maybe in some cases, but overall, not necessarily automatically, because they have the unconscious repetition compulsion cycles I'm always talking about, which that really reinforces their behavior and their thinking, or, well, they don't usually think about it, but they're believing that whatever they feel is totally real, right? With no checks and balances with thought to that, or any logic. So, yeah, if you continue to support somebody with BPD, and especially when they're abusing you and it's really rough and, you're hanging in there, and all the reasons why people with codependency hang in there when it's not healthy, etc. It is enabling them, but it's also you're enabling yourself. And then the commenter continues, anyone who truly wants to help a borderline, capital letters again, must show them some consequences. Oh, yeah, sure. Because as Genius says here, that's your job or something? No. You're already busy enough as a codependent. You're trying to explain stuff to them. You're trying to tell them how they feel. How you feel. They don't care how you feel. They're too busy with how they feel because you did this and you said that, which isn't true. But they blame you, right, for what's their issues and problems, and project that all over you. So how must, in capital letters, you, any of you out there that see this, how must you show them consequences? It's not your job. What you need to do is get yourself out of the relationship and start taking care of you. And yeah, not much easier said than done. I'm out here to work with people who are stuck in these relationships or not able to go no contact. Maybe the borderline is your ex now, but you're way far from over it, and etc. And it's all very painful. And you need to worry about for you as yourself as the BPDX or the on-off again or whatever going on with your person with BPD right now. Or if you're still in a relationship that's really ruptured and it's really difficult often, and even when you're with a quiet borderline and the things that they will do that upset people and aren't consistent and aren't congruent and they really can't love you that well either, then instead of thinking about how you're enabling a borderline, if you hang around and whatever, and you're supposed to, according to this person, show them consequences, no, really, you need to start realizing the consequences of what's happening to you emotionally, spiritually, financially, and physically, because these relationships go and tear your health apart as well. And that's a serious, real fact. Of course, it happens for different people, different issues in health, but it can be really severe. And even if you're young, you might think, oh, well, nothing's going to get to me. Be surprised. So you're supposed to show them some consequences. No. Realize the consequences of what you're doing for you, to you, and what you're not getting from them. And realize the consequences of codependency, childhood woundedness, that in your own way, if you have codependency, and you're the partner or the ex of somebody with BPD, you're repeating your own unconscious repetition compulsion cycles. So out here to work with you, if you really want to set yourself free and heal and learn how to stop ruminating and learn how to stop running back and learn how to stop wanting them back for specific reasons that are common or any other reason, or because you're afraid or scared to be alone or overwhelmed to be alone. Not everybody's the same. So if you're thinking, hey, I could be on my own, I don't have a problem, cool. But there's lots of people out there that that's not true for. So the commenter continues, true to their dichotomous thinking. Well, dichotomous, yes, but always extreme black or extreme white. And that is dichotomous, but let's call it what it is. And it's the consequence of BPD splitting, which is a core issue. Then no matter what you do, you show them consequences. Don't waste your time. You're not going to change that they split. And if you're trying to still rescue and save them to save your relationship or get back or try again, without years and years of therapy, they will never stop splitting. True to their dichotomous thinking, they interpret what they receive from others as either a reward or a punishment. Well, that's pretty simplistic because they don't even really take in what other people give. So they don't even really receive from others. But what happens is it's fear of abandonment or fear of engulfment, which a lot of people with BPD untreated or patterns of not even diagnosed have no clue what their triggers are, what they're reacting to, what they're feeling. They have no clue. They just know they're being terrorized inside and they feel like it's going to annihilate them. Doesn't have anything to do with you. So, no, they don't just think dichotomous ways, all black, all white, and then interpret that what they receive is either a punishment or a reward. No, because once things start to rupture, and they've gone to major devaluation splits, even if it didn't lead them to ghost or discard you just yet, or it did, there's no way that they're sitting around pondering, thinking that, he said this, so that must be like, what is that, a reward? To which they would say, I don't need a reward from you. Why do you think I need a reward from you? What's your problem? And then if they thought it was punishment, well, they'd be like, well, how dare you punish me? You're punishing me. I'll show you what punishment is. But they don't sit around and think all of that consciously at all. They're reacting to the terror of tumult inside. And inside where there is no container of self, there is no real person. They go through HE double hockey sticks on steroids, people with BPD, they really do. But they take it out on other people. And they're always trying to escape that. So, no, I don't think what this person just said. It doesn't have anything to do with the way they're going to interpret what they receive or not. Because that goes right to the approach avoidance conflict and object relations theory aspects of you being the object other representation of parent, good parent never had an idealization, bad parent in devaluation. So this person is simplistic and erroneous again. And while it may seem contradictory, there are many cases where they can consider a punishment to actually be validating. I don't think this person can know that. I think that's really hard to ascertain. And if somebody with BPD does, what did they say? Because this is crazy making. There are many cases where they can consider a punishment to actually be validating. Well, if they consider a punishment to be, or they believe that a punishment is actually validating, there's nothing positive in that. There's nothing you should be punishing them for, or you're going to be behaving just like they are when they're punishing you. And the thing about that is that's part of their own self-harm. And then this person said something like, so they can consider a punishment to actually be validating. Yeah, because they hate themselves. But they're not going to give you grace about that or understanding. They're still going to come back at you or discard you or ghost you. They're not going to go, hey, thanks for saying all that I know, like I feel like a piece of crap. Thanks for telling me, because that's really validating. No. And then this person says in quotes and brackets, with a misplaced comma on top of it, just saying, see, I knew you'd abandon me. Oh, I guess that's a quote from what somebody said to them. See, I knew you'd abandon me. That's not somebody with BPD taking punishment as a reward or punishment as validating. It has all to do with the terror and fear of abandonment, which is a major feature and core trait of borderline personality disorder. So I don't know what's wrong with this person, but they don't understand anything about this, in my humble opinion, and I'm not going to let them keep writing this junk on my channel. Now they continue, if hypothetically the world stopped enabling borderlines and narcissists, BPD and NPD would cease to exist. Oh, for the love of, I don't know, put in 10 swear words there or something. Are you kidding me? No, they're not kidding, but they should, because that's ridiculous. If everybody stopped in the world enabling borderlines and narcissists, BPD and NPD would cease to exist. No, it wouldn't, because it doesn't exist, because people need to be enabled. Codependents need to be enabled too. What? Are people with codependency going to not just like cease existing, or with the codependency? Oh, this person, forget it. Forget it. Everything they do, someone else pays for. Yep, and guess what? That's true. No excuse for that. A lot of what they do, not everything, but a lot of what they do, someone else pays for. But who is that someone else more often than not? Could be a family member, could be an adult child of a parent with BPD who should be looking at no contact and healing their codependency, and not continuing the urge to merge with a parent that is borderline or abusive or narcissistic. So yeah, somebody else does pay for it, but let me also slide in here two things. One, people with borderline personality disorder are paying for it through the teeth, but it just maybe doesn't always look that way. Maybe you don't see the consequences, but there's lots of consequences for them to what they do as well. And what they're doing without knowing a lot of the time. And someone else pays for it, yes. And those are people that often, like I said, family members, could be friend, favorite person, because it's not always the same thing as favorite person. And it's people that are in relationships with these people, because you didn't know what BPD was most people don't. Some people, like I've had lots of clients tell me, like, he or she told me they had BPD when we met, but I didn't know what it was. And I thought, yeah, okay. So that happens too. And so it's not like you make an active choice as a person with codependency, which you probably don't realize, up until after, like a lot of the relationship or when it's over. or you can't let it go, but it's over, it's ruptured, it needs to be let go, you need to heal. So in that situation, then you see people with codependency unknowingly, with their own repetition compulsions from childhood woundedness, are, for many different reasons, still sort of wanting the person with BPD back. It's multi-layered, complicated. I explain it to clients in their healing and recovery journeys, along with a lot more. And the thing about that is, so when people with codependency pay for what's going on with people with BPD, patterns of or diagnosed and untreated specifically, but not just some therapy that's not working. You know what I mean? Like significant, really, really tons of therapy that you can't hang around and wait for them to do. Because you never know if you can trust that they're going to do it. And it takes 8 to 10 to 16 years. And most people with BPD, truthfully, aren't going to stick with that and get to healed and recovered. So when you pay for what the borderline's doing once you know what's going on, in any relationship type, you, the codependent, are now volunteering to continue to pay for what the borderline's doing. I hope you can hear that. It's not your fault what the borderline's doing, but you're making choices that aren't helping you to get out of there to take care of you. And then this commenter says, cut off their umbilicus and let them sink or swim. It's not cruelty, it's life. Well, I don't know how many people really wrapped up in the borderline's umbilicus, but okay. Not as a gift to the borderline or the narcissist should you be getting out of this relationship. Should you be looking, like I'm out here to work with you if I resonate with you. Should you be looking for help? Should you be looking for healing so you can break free, heal the trauma bond, break the fantasy bond, and really let go of the connection and heal without ruminating and suffering for years like many, many people do who have codependency after BPD relationship breakups, ghosting, discards, monkey branching, however the rupture takes place and it ends and you're not okay with it and you're not done with it. And there's many reasons people will express why that is. And so none of that's good for you. So rather than saying in this aggressive manner or passive-aggressive manner, cut off their umbilicus, basically focus on you. Take care of you. Get yourself into some therapy. And then never mind what you're doing to them because people feel like, oh, if I leave him or her or better get back, I'll be being a bad person because they need me and they have no one else, which is the case of a lot of people with BPD or whatever. And that's true. But the bottom line is you don't focus on your cutting off their umbilicus or however silly, like this language is ridiculous. But anyway, and it's not about letting them sink or swim because you don't have the power, the control, the autonomy to decide that for them. You need to decide whether you're going to sink. Whether you're going to swim or sink. You're going to get out of this. You're going to focus on yourself. You're going to get into therapy. Work with me. Come work with me if you resonate with me. Focus on that, not them. And it's not about cruelty. It is about life. But the way that I would put it is more than even that. It's you need to focus on you. You need to focus on what you need, not taking their umbilicus, cutting it off, whatever, let them sink or swim. You need to be focusing on you, not them. That's what's crucial about this. So, person said one or two things that had some meaning, but I always find it challenging to do videos against commenters or toward commenters or about what commenters have said when they really don't know what they're talking about. And if this person thinks, because they really don't seem to know that much accurately, but if they think they know so damn much about this, why are they watching my videos? Why are they commenting on this channel? Because it's probably a codependent at minimum who thinks they're better than everyone else and all fine now. And they're going to learn, they're going to try to teach all y'all like they're coming from some, and I'm not coming from some higher up place. I'm just coming from a more experienced place and 36 years of working with clients to help people get out of these relationships, find themselves again, heal childhood woundedness, heal codependency, break trauma bonds, break fantasy bonds, and move on with your life in ways that you can't even imagine how great it will be in the future. So never mind focusing on what's happening to them and what they're doing and what you paid for, yes, in the beginning, and what you thought and what it turned out to be. But then every minute that you've known about BPD and all the videos you're watching, and you still, if you're someone that still wants that person back, you're volunteering to pay for more of what people with BPD unfortunately do. That is their responsibility, but that they don't understand and they can't stop doing. Doesn't make it right. No excuse for borderline abuse, but you have to make a different choice today. So how about thinking about you, taking care of you, getting yourself into therapy and realizing that this person that you might well have been with for a long time, short time, something in between, who you feel you really love, the sex is so hot, how could I possibly let go? You really need to, for your physical health, your mental health, your spiritual health, and for many people, financial health and well-being. These relationships, I say with great sadness, I'm not trying to rag on people with BPD. They don't work between borderlines, codependents, or narcissists and codependents, or borderlines and borderlines, or borderlines and narcissists, or narcissists and narcissists. They don't work. They start to end the minute they begin, and you don't know that, and it's devastating. But remember, there's really nothing truly healthy in this for you. And if you can face that truth and then reach out, I'm out here to work with people that resonate with you, but be careful who you choose to work with. But whoever you want to work with or wherever, reach out to someone and get yourself in therapy so you can start processing all that is so confusing. But make no mistake about it. The person with BPD that you fell in love with perhaps, or a family member, somebody you really loved and cared about, may still feel that way. They don't even know who they are, so you don't know who they are. So who are you loving? Who are you sacrificing yourself for? And the big question is why? Because no one in this world, in this life, was born and meant to sacrifice themselves for another human being. That might be more the case in a way if you're a parent of a child, but otherwise, no. So, what you still doing there, what you're going through, leave comments as to how you feel about the video if something resonated with you, never minding the person with the comments, it's always wrong. I hope this is educative for other people, and I hope you realize that you don't want to cut off the umbilicus of the borderline. Ooh, this person sounds like they're so tough, don't they? That's not what you want to be. You want to just be able to get yourself away from the person with BPD who's hurting you. If they haven't already gone, then you don't want to be chasing after them to get them back. You want to get into therapy so you can do some healing work, so you can create and build a functional, healthy relationship to and with yourself once and for all, in a rather as complete a way as us human beings can do. So what are you doing today about the borderline you may be with, or who might have ghosted you, discarded you, monkey branched you? You're on, off, you're back and forth, you're back and forth. When are you going to realize you got to let go? And to do that, you probably need therapy. And in that healing work, you will be okay. You will understand so much more. You will grow. It's a process. And then you will be grateful in a way for what you went through, because you had the opportunity, as you do right now, to learn so much more about yourself and to heal so much more about yourself. And I'm not saying it's all about you, what happens in these relationships, but, the borderlines are doing what the borderlines are doing. And unfortunately, without a lot of years of proper treatment, and not just in DBT, ladies and gentlemen, they need 15, 16 or more years to actually, if they're going to heal and recover. And many, the majority of people with BPD aren't going to get there. They may make some progress, etc., but it's often still not healthy in a relationship. And you love that you feel however you feel. I don't want to say anything about how you feel. That's your business. Let me know how you feel in the comments. You feel you love them still. You feel you need them back. But who do they represent from somebody that wounded you in childhood? What's similar there? Have you ever thought about that? And the other thing is, you can feel that you love them, but you can't actually love who they are because they don't know who they are and you don't know who they are. They certainly aren't who you thought they were. And so now what? And the answer is get out of the relationship by focusing on yourself, taking care of yourself, not thinking about what they're going to go through, not thinking about what they're doing or not doing, focusing on precious you.